Today I'm going to name a bunch of examples about what makes covert incest so covert. Let's explore all this on today's Ask a Shrink. Looks okay on the outside. There's no physical bruises to point to, for example, with other kinds of abuse. No black and blue marks, no bleeding. So it's all very hidden, and that's what makes it even more confusing to deal with as an adult, and we call that insidious because nothing's really too clear, but the child has that icky feeling and they know they weren't raised in a healthy way and they're paying a big price for it as an adult. They have a hard time finding their own voice, being who they are, because they don't know who they are. They had to always focus and be the mirror for the parent. So I'm going to ramble off a bunch of examples. We'll see how many I come up with, and I'll put that in the title, about things that are covert. Other people may not view it as anything wrong, but it's really smothering that child. And so different ways it shows up is the child is taken on what appears to be dates with the parent. This is just for the two of us. I just want to take you, honey. Let's just you and I have our own little getaway, which can also then turn into vacations together. Well, you know your father doesn't like to go, or your mother doesn't like the mountains, and your brothers and sisters aren't that interested. They have a lot going on this summer, so how about just you and me doing a special getaway? Child feels kind of special, right? Because after all, dad or mom just wants to take me. But they're not realizing the underlying reasons for this. It's probably because they're in a shitty marriage and the parents don't know how to communicate in adult ways, in any way perhaps really. And so they're grabbing one of their children symbolically to turn them into their dates to go places. So perhaps they want to take you out shopping, go have a special lunch afterwards, get-togethers with your mother's friends or your father's friends, special Valentine's dinner or card exchanges, of course, on the birthdays as well. Let's say you're older and your father or your mother says to you, I'm gonna just fly in to see you for a special weekend. Don't tell your brother or your sister, who, by the way, live in the same town, that I'm coming in to see you, and that's because they like dividing the children. That's part of the ability to take a child over. It's divide and conquer. So they may say bad things about your brother or sister to you because it's a way to keep everybody separate. And again, keep everything a little more covert. This is not talked about openly or honestly what's really going on here. The parent probably doesn't even understand it themselves, more than likely. It's unconsciously driven for them because they're unhappy and they're trying to fill a void. So in this case, let's say it's a 22-year-old daughter saying to her father, yeah, I won't tell my brother or my sister that you're coming in. I'll look forward to just the two of us hanging out together. Very covert. You can't tell on the outside that there's anything wrong with this. If somebody knows about it, they'll just simply say, oh, the father's coming in to see his daughter, how lovely. But again, there's an ulterior motive here. Why isn't the father bringing his wife, the equal, the peer? Why isn't the mother bringing her husband, the equal, the peer? Why aren't they doing these things together? Why aren't they relying on each other to take trips? Why aren't they discussing as a couple what child they are choosing to go visit and then tell everybody what they're doing? What's the lack of transparency about? Well, that's very covert. It's very hidden. Or better yet, as the marriage is falling apart, even more so as the years go on, assuming the parent is even married at this point. So this could happen from a single parent to a child, or it could be a married couple and one of the parents, the mother or father, is focusing on the child. But either which way, one of them is now telling you in different ways that they want you to be there for them when they're old. Please don't put me in a nursing home. You're going to take care of me, right? You know your father's not going to do it for me, or you know your mother's not going to be there for me. So now the child is growing up with this obligation. I guess I have to do this. If it's a 10-year-old daughter or a 9-year-old boy hearing this, they're going to feel an obligation. I guess it falls on me. I can't let them down. So now that 10-year-old or 9-year-old is now 30 years old or 29 years old, and they're following through with it. I promised I need to take care of my mother or father now that they're aging. No, you don't. And this is part of the work that has to be done usually in a therapist's office to break free of these shackles that should never have been there in the first place. But maybe before I get sick, I may have some good years there. Maybe we can rent a place together. I mean, you're living on the East Coast now. I'd love to come get a place with you. Would you be willing to live together? Many parents suggest such things, and none of it is healthy. Perhaps you find out that they've been reading your journal at some point, maybe when you're a teenager. Or they give you inappropriate back rubs that go on a little too long. Also kissing going on a little too long. Prying into your personal life all the time. Why are you going out with him? Why are you going out with her? Well, it's really none of their business. They need to back off. Oh, and here's a good one. They're in the bathroom taking a bath. Let's say you're 12 years old and you need something, and you knock on the bathroom door and they say, come on in. You walk on in and they're naked in the bathtub. And you're thinking like, no, you should have told me not to come in. Why did you tell me to come in? Well, they did that intentionally to have you come in because it's all about loosening these boundaries. Or of course, this crosses over into a mother asking her son to zip up her dress. Could you adjust my bra strap for me, please? How do you like the smell of this perfume? Put your head right here and smell it on my neck. Do you like that, son? Again, all of this very covert. They may leave their personal items or personal clothing laying around anywhere. It's not appropriate. These very subtle covert ways are ways, again, to break down boundaries. Telling you problems in the marriage, which are not appropriate. Telling you about their sex life. Your mother just won't give it up when I want it from her. Or your father really has a hard time keeping it up. Or premature ejaculation, or what he or she will do in bed. Child doesn't need to know about this, nor should they hear about any of it. And relying on you like you're the partner that helps them with adult things. It could really be anything. Let's say you're 18 or over, and they're calling on you to come over and fix the plumbing for me. The child is feeling this sense of responsibility, like they're supposed to get in there and help in ways that they're not supposed to help. They feel then therefore very helpless because they want to do this out of guilt, perhaps. That's not healthy for a child to grow up in this manner. As I mentioned earlier, dividing you with the siblings. So that could mean telling you problems that only the siblings are going through. Well, that's private information that your brother or sister perhaps told your father or mother, but now they're sharing it with you. But they're probably not sharing your crap with your brother or sister because you're the golden child. You're the one they're taking over. You're the one they're focused on. So they're going to respect you in that way, but they're certainly able to tell you about the problems going on with your brother or sister. What's that about? Ask yourself that. It could also cross over during different stages of growing up where they put you into activities that they like, that they want you in. It has nothing to do with what you want. The son or the daughter is not even interested perhaps in these things that the parent is saying, come on, I paid for summer break for you. You have to go 8 times to A or B or C, whatever it is. It's an activity the parent chose. Well, maybe the son doesn't want to take a crochet class, or the daughter doesn't want to learn about riverboat canoeing. So when they're forcing you into things that they would like to do in their life or comes natural for them, but they're not asking you about it, big red flag there. Other examples is dad is going to an office party. He says to his 17-year-old daughter, I want you to come with me. Your mom's busy that night, even though, of course, the mother's not really busy at all, or he hasn't even asked her more than likely. So the daughter agrees. It sounds like fun, but he makes sure she wears that special blue sheer dress that he likes on her. And he's showing her off to his office mates. Look what's mine. Look what I own. That attention should go to his actual wife, not to a teenage daughter. And then we have a very gray area sometimes about the way it crosses over into physical incest, but it's not really physical sex per se, but the gray area is snuggling up a little bit too much. A mother saying to her son, just lay with me for a while in bed, son. Let's watch TV. Let's watch some Netflix for an hour. I've had a bad day. Just come here and lay next to me. Or from the father to the daughter, the same thing. Planning their future life with you, including the nursing home or where they're going to live, and or not wanting you to go too far away to go to college. And by the way, sometimes they'll act like they're really supporting you, and that's very confusing to the child because on the one hand, they're being helped to find some independence, to find their own wings. The parent will say, yes, you want to go to college, and so absolutely you should go. And that's because they don't want to look bad to other relatives or friends or neighbors. Like, I can't get away with this one, so I better just support him or her and say I want them to go, even though inside they may not be actually feeling that. But some things they can't get away with so easily. It can't be covert anymore. If friends and neighbors and family members know they're saying, no, you can't go to college. So they'll go along with it and say, of course, I'll pay your tuition. But then trying to control it perhaps when you're away at school, what school you can go to, how far it is away from home, what you can even study perhaps. But then it's confusing because, well, they want me to go to school. Well, be aware of that. What's the reason they want you to go to school? or the reason they're giving you permission for this or that. Just be very aware, because that's the whole thing about covert incest. It can be very insidious, and you have to look at the underlying agenda, the reasons for something. Covert incest, as opposed to overt incest, covert incest is actually emotional incest. It's when a child is emotionally taken over by one of their parents or a caretaker. They're emotionally smothered. It doesn't usually involve physical incest of any type. There could be hints of that, but there's emotional incest, covert, or overt incest, which is the physical incest. What do they mean when they call it covert? Well, it's hidden. People aren't seeing what's really going on. Family and friends think it's a really healthy, wonderful relationship. Oh, look how much time the father spends with his special daughter. He must really love her. Or look how much mom focuses on that one son. They must be like buddies. What a wonderful way for that boy to grow up. Not realizing, no, it's very unhealthy for the daughter or the son to grow up that way, because they're denied the ability to find their own identity, what they're all about, because they're being turned into a mini husband or mini wife. That's the emotional smothering. It's sad to say that parents can be this way with their own children, but the fact of it is that that is a fact, and children grow up under this pressure, this enormous stress, and suffer sometimes for a lifetime because they've been emotionally smothered in these ways. So unfortunately, we have to talk about it with all these examples I just gave. I don't know how many I just rambled off right now, but I will have that in the title once I count them. So feel free to leave any comments you'd like in the comment section. You can give me some more examples. I'd love to hear them. Others reading the comment section perhaps would like to see those as well. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.